All right, we're at the peak of, well, right behind us is the peak of Black Peak.
Yeah. So we're doing a follow-up video. So the first one was, a lot of comments was like, why did we go hiking into a fire? Honestly, we didn't know there was a fire in the area. It started at, I think, 4:30, 5:30, and we started leaving for the trail around 6.
Yeah, so by the time from us driving up the Highway 2 to get to the trailhead, there was no sign of smoke.
Yeah.
And the fire hadn't been reported at that point.
All right, so, the other thing was people asked, like, what mistake did we make?
I think the one thing we could have done, and probably will do in the future, is when we see a significant amount of smoke, compared to when we arrived and there was no smoke, that might be a sign that there's a fire in the area. And it's not really worth the risk. It's easy to turn around and try another hike or do something else that day. So I think that's going to be our future plans when we notice smoke. So just to be honest here, there's some smoke over there in that direction, but it's closer to Mount Baker than we are, and so it's still hundreds of miles away.
People talked about us staying in that gully of that V-notch. That's a tough call. I mean, it's you hear stories about brushes being underneath those rocks. So, one of the concerns was the fire actually catching the brushes on fire and then burning us, or smoke messing our lungs up, because it was thick coming through there.
I think my biggest concern about staying there, and we made the decision together, and that's the right way to do it. But for me, the biggest concern was the heat and the smoke being, not being, if we stayed there too much longer, we wouldn't have had a decision. We would have had to stay.
Yeah.
Because it was going to surround us, and it did. It surrounded that area. The other thing I was concerned with is the trees above us falling down. And as we were hiking out, we could hear those trees snapping off and falling, and then causing rock slides. So, we're in a gully with full of rocks that came from the hill right above us. So it wasn't it was kind of concerning for that too.
Yeah.
So we decided to put, our lives in our own hands rather than just waiting and hoping. We decided we would take our skills and see if we can make it down the mountain. The sheriff deputy had told us if we could make it to our Jeep, it would be safe. And he had alluded to that there was no fire at the lake. So that meant the trail, if we could make it down to the lake trail, we could probably make it out unless things drastically changed.
Yeah. I think going forward with our hikes, like, we're probably going to have an emergency plan, like an alternate route of how to get down stuff. But I don't know, we're kind of up here pretty high at like 8,000 feet.
It's almost 9.
Almost 9,000 feet. And I don't think there's any easy way down this mountain.
Here we have no fire danger because there's absolutely no trees.
Yep. And there's a lake down there. So, one of the comments was like, or why did I vlog while we're running from a fire? And if you watch the video carefully, I only did video when we came to a stop, or we were trying to route find, or the sheriff called us.
Yeah, and so most of that, for most of you guys, Steve was being a good friend. He was waiting for me. So heights aren't my thing, and so he was checking out all the cliffs and making sure we had routes down. And then while he's waiting for me to catch up to him, he was updating. Rather than just sitting there waiting, he was making a video, which was great because it showed our family. One of the main reasons I think Steve does it is to show our families and friends what we do, and it was great for to share with them.
All right. A lot of people ask what kind of gear we used. When we go on our hikes, me and Matt, we plan it probably like a week in advance. Like Monday morning, we start talking about, hey, where we're gonna hike and what we're gonna do, and we pack our gear according to the hike. For that hike, we were traveling pretty light just because it was supposed to be just a regular scramble to get up to the peak.
We had enough supplies. We had that we could stay out overnight. Coats and gloves and hats, water, and food. We ended up running out of water, granted, but we on a normal hike, 2 liters of water should be good.
Yep.
And we did have filters with us, so if we made it to water, we could have filtered water. But I think we usually prepare to be able to stay out overnight if we have to, if plans change. And one of the cool things that Steve has here, turn around a little bit, he's got a GPS locator on his back that sends a signal to our loved ones that shows them where we're at. So, and he can text from that if we can't make it back. So I think if you guys, if you're going to go out into, more adventurous, trails that lead into deep backcountry, the technology is there now. Why not use it?
Yeah. You guys asked what kind of apps and stuff or GPS we were using. I mean,
yeah. So I went on a hike years ago with a friend. We hiked to Stehekin, and here I'll show you on my phone. I'll just come up there real close. This is the app that I use, and it's called GIAI.
Gaia.
And it's a free download. I still use the free version. It has a topo map. It's GPS is accurate. It can do a lot of stuff. You can do waypoints and so it was. I mean, we've used it on every hike now, and snowshoeing in the winter. So I think I've used Garmin GPSs, and they have a better antenna. So in the deep woods, sometimes they work better. But to be honest, the technology's there now. The cell phone works really good, and it has a big screen. It's easier to read the map. I'm just going to tell you, it's a little misleading on some of the topo. It doesn't show the cliffs that are that aren't 1,000 feet. The cliffs that are like 200 feet just straight down. Yeah. It really doesn't show those. So that was a little misleading and a little eye-opening. But it did allow us to, we knew where we were headed, and we were able to find the trail to get out.
All right. You guys asked what we would do differently.
Yeah, I mean, once we were stuck in the fire, I think our decisions were good. We worked together. We stayed calm. We hurried without panicking. Sometimes it's like, oh, we got to get down this cliff. And it's like, wait, no, there might be a better route. Let's go back up a little bit, find another route, and we kept doing that. It was frustrating and tiring, but it was safer. And I think that helped us get out. On our hike up, what I would have done differently, as soon as I saw smoke, I would turn around. And that's going to be my thing from now on. I'm not hiking when I can see smoke close.
Yeah.
That's just not worth it to me anymore. Now that I know how fast the fire, I don't care. You hear forest fires travel fast, but it was unbelievable. I mean, it was 5 miles ahead of us. We turned, started walking. Half an hour later, it had gone all the way past us and was coming up the ridge right in front of us. A half hour. That's all it took.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But.
And you know what? Last and not least is I want to thank all the local authorities, 911, Sheriff's Office, Search and Rescue. I mean, they tried, but it was just too much smoke, and it was just too dangerous, and I don't want anyone else risking their lives to try to come save us.
Yeah, and I think that's our both feelings. It's like, we didn't want anybody putting their lives on the line for us. I mean, it was our decision to go to hiking. It was, there's no use somebody dying for us.
Yep.
But it was really nice. The sheriff's deputy, I really enjoyed how calm they were, and how just having a presence on the other end of a line. Sometimes it's like, oh, that's kind of nice. They are actually, they were very nice. They weren't, being mean to us because, oh, how come you guys are stuck out there? And no, they were worried about us, and it really helped. It gives you another reason to fight and keep going. And then on our way out, we met one of the sheriff's deputies, and he was glad to see us, and we were glad that we were the last people he had to get out of the mountain. So it was a scary adventure. It was an adventure, one I hope I never have to do again.
Yep. So I mean, that's all the questions for the follow-up video. So I hope we answered everything for you guys. It'd be good to see you guys on the trail, and happy hiking.